Removing your front bumper, something every C7 owner is going to do at some point during the ownership of their vehicle if they're a DIY kind of person. Everything from installing a heat exchanger to putting your car into service position to change out a pulley of some kind, you need to remove the bumper. So stick around, I'll show you how to do it. All right, welcome back to another video with Audi C7 owners, everybody. Today's video is gonna be a revamp of the first video we ever uploaded. The first video we ever uploaded was a video showing you how to remove your front bumper and install an RS style grille. That video is super in-depth, showed every turn of a wrench, and so I figured it's about time that I go back and redo it to make it a little bit easier to follow along with a shorter video, but still giving you guys every step of the way. So the first thing you need to do, get your car up on jack stands, okay? Get them on jack stands because you want to remove your wheels so you can access your fender liners. You can access the fender liners while your wheels are on there, but it's a pain in the butt. Just take them off. Put your wheels underneath the car in case you have a jack stand failure. Once you have this up, you need to remove your underlinings or your skid plate that goes underneath there. Mine's not there because I don't have an OEM skid plate. I have a different one. But if you're removing your bumper, hopefully you know how to remove your skid plate. Disclaimer. This is not the skid plate I'm talking about. You will see something like this underneath your car attached to your front bumper, okay? It will actually come off with the bumper. Do not remove this from the car. You wanna keep that on the bumper. Your skid plate is about 2.5 times the depth of this. So you only need to remove the engine skid plate, not your transmission skid plate. Once you have all that done, we need to work on getting some fender liners removed. So I'll show you how to do that next. Okay, to remove your fender liners and your lower splash guards, you're gonna need a T25 Torx bit. The other perk of having your wheel out is that you can use a impact if you've got one. So we're gonna remove all of these. There's a few that go across the bottom. As you can see, mine are damaged. I'm gonna be replacing this with a brand new one, but we wanna get everything detached from the bumper. There's one here, there's one here, there's one right here as well. And then you need to do this upper one here. That's what connects your bumper to the fender. And so you need to take that out. That's gonna also be a T25. Then you've got a few Torx bolts that go across the back here. You know, missing one because why not? But you wanna get all these done and then you'll be able to grab this fender liner and pull it out. I'll show you what I mean in a second. I'm gonna go ahead and get these removed. Okay, so once you have those bolts pulled out, you can take the upper fender liner and just kind of pull it back and have it braced against the brake dust shield here and holds it there. If yours is super tight and wants to go back, you can get a bungee cord or something, hook it here and hook it to something in the back to keep out of the way. Otherwise, you can remove this. Now the bottom of this, there's a piece that goes forward, mine's gone. That does connect to your front bumper. You need to make sure all those bolts are disconnected. And also you've got this little line connected to this nozzle. What this is like an evap line from your headlights that if there's any moisture that builds in your headlights, it'll eventually drain out this tube and out of your fender liner. So I'm gonna this literally just pulls off. And I don't know if I'll be able to do it with one hand because it's on there kind of tight. So I'm gonna go ahead and disconnect that. I'm gonna pull this out of the way and show you what we do next. The next step, now that we have everything disconnected from the back of the bumper, is to remove 3 10mm bolts that hold the bumper to the fender and to the car itself. Now, there are 3, let me back my camera out a little bit. Okay, so there's going to be 2 that are upright bolts right around here that go 1 and 2. And then there's another one that is a linear bolt, I guess you would say, or runs parallel with this body line here. And you can actually see it if I zoom in right there because my bumper is not really perfectly aligned, but you can see that one there. That one goes there. That's also a 10mm. That's something I will be fixing while I do this job. So remove those 10. I'm gonna try and get under the car here in a second and show you where the upright bolts are and how to see that one. You're gonna need a multiple set of extensions to do this easily, so I'll show you what I use. Okay, right now we're just kind of laying on our back under the bumper so you can see the 10 mils from underneath. There's one right here, and then the other one, kind of hard to see, but it's right there. I don't know if you'll be, yeah, you can kind of see it there. So those are your upright ones. Those are pretty easy to get. And then the one that you have to kind of work to get at, you have to dodge these. Hold on, let me get a better camera angle. Okay, so to find the third bolt, what you need to do is find these things that come down and find this part of the frame here. There's a hole right there, you can see it. And if you look all the way back there, it's kind of hard to see because it's hard to get light on it, but that's where that straight bolt is. And you need a couple extensions to get back there to get on that 10mm bolt and remove it. Here are the tools that I use to remove all the bolts and everything from the fender liner, or I'm sorry, from the front bumper that connect to the fender. I used for the 2 uprights, which are these 2. I use my impact with a extension and 10mm socket. It's a lot easier to use these, especially with the extension that lets you bring the gun down out of the way of everything. But there's not enough room to get the gun in and align all this stuff really easily. So for that, I just use a couple 1/4" extensions and a 10mm socket and a 1/4" wrench to get the other one. This is the straight bolt, the one that goes into the actual fender. It is shorter than your upright bolts. So that's how you know which one's which. There's 2 uprights and then the shorter straight on one. The other thing I like to do, guys, I like to keep my happy little piles of stuff for each side. So this is on my driver's side, screws and bolts and everything between fender liners to bumper. And when I do my passenger side, I'll put all those over there. That just helps me stay organized. All right, so the next step on the driver's side only, this is not on the passenger side, is we're gonna have to disconnect this line here. So this piece here that has that little right angle, this is your headlight washer fluid supply. So if you have your headlight washers enabled, this is how fluid gets to it. So what's gonna happen is this little blue clip, we're just gonna use a right angle pick and pop that off. It can fly off, so just make sure you don't lose it. Once that happens, you'll be able to separate these two. And once you do, stuff is gonna come flying out of this. So either get a bucket to put underneath to catch all of it, or you know, if you have a clean plastic jug to catch it all, that way you can refill your washer fluid reservoir. Or what I'm gonna do is I'm just going to get a set of hose clamps and I'm gonna clamp this off here so that I don't lose any of it. All right, so you can see I clamped that hose off. I only lost a couple drops. I removed the blue tab, pulled it apart, and then when I was done, I put the blue tab back on there so that I don't lose it. There is still a little bit of fluid in the line that's on the bumper, but since that right angle tab kind of turns up, it's not flowing out, so not too worried about it. But I'm gonna go ahead and go to the passenger side and do everything that I just did over here, and then we will start to remove this from the car shortly. The next thing we're gonna do is remove this top cowling cover. There are 2 push pins here. Just get something flat, a knife works really well, a little flat screwdriver, and just slowly pry those up. Once you pry those up a little bit, you can grab them with your hands, pull them out, don't lose them, put them somewhere safe. If you're OEM, you might have a bolt right here. I don't, with my aftermarket grill, I think I just toss it. It doesn't really do anything. But once you undo those, you just kind of grab on the bottom, pull it out, you can set it along the back. Once you have that cowling removed, you want to come over to your grill, come in from the top and look. You're going to find a screw on the left side here and then a screw on the right side here. You need to remove those 2. Now, I've taken my bumper on off so many times, I kind of have a hodgepodge of screws going on here. So that's a T30 here and this is a T25. I'm fairly certain the OEM ones are T30 because they're a little bit bigger. So try that, but you'll figure it out once you get in here. So go ahead and remove those. All right, so the next step is to actually start to remove the bumper from the car. Before you do this, just double check everything, make sure you got nothing connected to the bumper below it, on the inside here or up. But what you want to do, mine's kind of loose already because I kind of popped already, but this should be on here nice and tight, and it's got these teeth that kind of grab. So the best way to do it is to grab the bumper a little bit from the bottom and grab here, pull it this way, and then up and out. So you want to go this and then pull up and out. There probably will be a good amount of debris from sand and dirt building in there, but go ahead and just get the left and the right popped off. Don't pull it off the center yet. The next thing you need to do is go disconnect your battery. You're about to get to the point where you remove the bumper off the car, but there's a wiring harness back there and you have to disconnect all that. Now that is, if you have the options, that is night vision camera, that is your automatic cruise control, radar systems, all those things that have calibrations. If you remove this and unplug all that, and while it's unplugged, accidentally turn on the car or trigger the electrical components, it could force you to have to recalibrate everything. So go disconnect your battery so you don't accidentally mess this up and are forced to go pay like $550 to get a recalibration. All right, so we have the left and the right sides popped off. Everything's disconnected. This is a good time to get a cooler or something that's similar height to the bottom of the bumper, because when you pull this off, it's gonna wanna sit on the ground, but your wiring harness is still connected to everything back here, and it won't let it reach the ground when it's on jack stand. So get something to support it on, and that's another reason I said don't remove that bottom plate that connects to your bumper, to your bumper, because this is gonna allow you to just set it here and it'll just support itself. Mine unfortunately doesn't have that because it broke. That other one that I showed you earlier is for my new bumper, so this will be a little tricky for me, but you're just gonna kind of lift up and off, and it should set right off. This is about the distance you can get off without removing or disconnecting your wiring harness. So I'm going to kind of let it rest here and move the camera and start disconnecting some of these things. All right, I'm gonna walk you through and show you each of the connections you have to remove if you have all the options like I do on my car. So we'll start on the passenger side, and you can see that little connector there. That is for your radar sensor for automatic cruise control. You've also got that plug there, and that is going to your actuator, I believe, for your headlight washer. So disconnect those two. And then after that, we move to the center of the grille. My car has a night vision camera. My car has a front parking aid. I've got parking sensors here, the assistance sensors. So those are all gonna be back here behind the grille, and I'm gonna have to disconnect those. I also have the home link for your garage door opener, which is this one here. And this is actually super simple. You just pop that out and it comes right out. So we're gonna set that off to the side. This plug here is your front camera plug right here, and that's pretty simple to disconnect. It's just this little push button, and then it should come apart. Once again, hard to do these with one hand. But yeah, the trickiest of all these is your night vision camera, because that plug goes underneath, and it's very, very difficult to access to get to the correct thing. So you're gonna have to work on that a little bit. I would definitely suggest watching my other video, but you can kind of feel the plug, and you should be able to work it out all on your own. This right here, once again, you've got this black plug here. You just need to use a pick. You get the light on there. Use a pick to pull that black plug up, and this will pop off. That is, once again, headlight washer fluid reservoir. That is for the night vision camera. If you don't have a night vision camera, you shouldn't have this. But we'll move off to the right, and you still have the same sensors as you did on the passenger side for the radar supply, or I'm sorry, the radar sensor, and anything else over there. So it should be the same on the driver's side as it is on the passenger side. All right, I got the bumper off. So I just want to show you guys some of these electrical connections and things that you have to remove versus don't have to remove. So obviously you got to remove this plug. This is connected to a wiring harness on the car. Sorry, this one right here, it's connected to a wiring harness on the car. It's absolutely filthy with sand and debris, so I'm going to clean that up. You need to remove the plug that goes into the radar sensor here. Moving this way, the only ones that you have to remove here are your front camera plug, and if you have night vision, that plug here. Now this, the headlight washer supply, you don't have to remove, but it makes it easier to grab the bottom of the plug for the night vision camera and get it out, and then you can put that back on, okay? And then moving over here, once again, the radar sensor that you need to remove on this side. Otherwise, your parking sensors, everything like that, you can leave those plugged in. All right, everybody, that's how you remove your front bumper on your C7. This should be really, really similar to facelift vehicles as well as A7, S7s. There might be some minor differences in the design of those bumpers, but overall should be the same. Putting it back on is the exact opposite of how you took it off. Reverse your steps in order. Make sure you have either someone to help you hold the bumper while you reconnect your wiring harness, or get something to set it on, like my cooler here. Connect your wiring harness, make sure all that stuff is plugged up really good, and then set it on there, get it kind of attached to the car, rest it on there. It won't hold perfectly, but you can get it on there, get those top bolts put in there to hold it there. And then when you're getting the sides of the bumper in, these are the teeth that you have to kind of get it in. So you'll see how this connects into the bumper, and you'll see how the bumper connects to that, and just use caution. Make sure you get those set in really well for that. As always, guys, if you like what I bring you, please consider liking the channel and subscribing and liking the video, getting the alerts, all that jazz. If you have any questions about this process, leave them in the comments below, and we will see you guys on the next video.